should have a view on the provision of a contraceptive pill like this. 0345 6060 973. Let's talk to Alithea Williams, who's from the Society for the Protection of Unborn Children. Alithea, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, would you agree that it's wrong to bring unwanted children into the world?
Gosh, well, that's a big one to ask.
Well, it's related to this topic, isn't it? Because presumably the reason that women take the morning after pill is because they don't want to bring an unwanted child into the world.
Well, I think my view would be that if we're talking about the morning after pill, one of the effects of the morning after pill is that it can stop an embryo implanting. So that is then would be ending the life of an embryo which is already there. I mean, obviously, we would hope that children are wanted, but our value is not based on whether or not our parents want us at that exact moment of time. Obviously, many people, their conception wasn't necessarily planned, and I don't think we want to go around valuing people's lives on that.
But bear in mind, it is called the morning after pill. Obviously, it is effective, I think, up to 5 days afterwards. But is there actually an embryo there? I mean, are you saying life begins sort of at that moment, and therefore that's the reason that you would question whether these pills should be provided at all?
Well, that is one of the reasons. So nobody's entirely sure how the morning after pill works, but on the medical advice, what you get on the packet, it does say that one of the mechanisms in which it might work is changing the lining of the womb to prevent the implantation of an embryo. So I think that certainly is enough to give you pause for thought.
But if the embryo hasn't been implanted at that point, then I mean the normal argument about abortion centres on the fact that you believe that that a child's life starts sort of almost immediately at conception. But here we're talking about something different, aren't we?
Well, we might be or we might not be. We don't know which mechanism in the pill is working. It might just be that it stops ovulation, in which case it would be contraceptive, or it might be that it's stopping the implantation of the embryo. Which would have that effect. I think there are also other things to think about with the morning after pill. It is a serious drug. It's a big dose of hormones, and we have to think about the safety of that for women. But aren't
GPs and pharmacists capable of doing that?
Well, that's one of the reasons that Boots is saying that a pharmacist consultation is needed, whereas BPAS's campaign is also to try and get rid of that consultation. They think it should just be available on the shelves, off the shelves, without any kind of consultation.
And I have some sympathy there. There ought to be a consultation. But what about the price? The BPAS campaign is also about the price. We've got MPs from all parties writing to Boots to say that they should cut the price. They're accusing them of profiteering. £28.25 does sound an awful lot of money. You're not in I mean, I'm sure if you're against the pill, providing this pill completely, you probably think it ought to be as expensive as it can be.
Well, to be honest, I think this is a bit of manufactured outrage from BPAS. I mean, Boots is charging exactly the same as it always has done. What's come about now is that they've started this campaign to lower the price, which Boots and Superdrug have done, whereas Boots are sticking to their line that they need to charge more in order to provide these consultations.
Well, that's not their line, is it? They just say they want to avoid incentivising inappropriate use, whatever that means.
So, yes, they did say that, but they did also say that one of the reasons that the cost is above cost price is the cost of providing the consultations. But about incentivising improper use, I think what people are forgetting in this is that the emergency contraception is not supposed to be used on a regular basis. The medical information is that you should only use it in an emergency. It's not something you should be using every other week. So I think perhaps Boots are feeling that lowering the price would make it seem like an affordable option to use on a regular basis.
Is your organisation against all use of contraception?
No, we're against contraception which might have this abortifacient effect, which is often the case in hormonal.
So you're not against the normal contraceptive pill or the use of condoms?
Not from a moral perspective. We might question how effective it is in preventing abortion. So we saw last week that the head of BPAS came out and said herself that half the abortions they're seeing are from women who are using contraception. So you might question the effectiveness of it in that sense.
Someone's texted in to say, will this woman, by which they mean you, take on an unwanted baby, or has she ever adopted any unwanted children? You can see the logic of their point, I suppose.
Well, I can and I can't. I don't think we all have to. I mean, for instance, if we were talking about refugees, we would be able to have an opinion on it without necessarily taking in one ourselves. But also, there are lots of people who would love to adopt children, but they're not really ending up in the adoption system as newborns, because a lot of the time the answer to an unwanted baby now is abortion. I would be delighted if there was more adoption, and if there were lots of babies to be adopted. When I was in a position to adopt, I'm sure I would love to.
Alithea, thank you very much. That's Alithea Williams from the Society for the Protection of the Unborn Child.